Sixth grade, happy Tuesday. Science class, chapter 6. As we get into the lessons today, we're in lesson 1. We're trying to answer how are organisms on Earth connected. Remember, yesterday we were working main idea with supporting details, and you'll see how books do that all the time. They give their main topics, they support it with some details. The overall statement summary says this: all living things on Earth share resources such as air, water, and light. Living things, including humans, are connected through the resources they share, and the actions of human can affect other parts of the biosphere. You're going to see this statement come out in these first few paragraphs as we read it. Going back, talking about the biosphere from chapter 1, we'll learn what it is. The reason it's not in yellow, guys, is because you already had it in yellow back in chapter 1 when we first started talking about life science. Let's get going. No matter where you go, to the highest mountain, the deepest ocean, the hottest desert, the coldest Arctic area, you will find living things. From microscopic bacteria to the largest whales, a variety of living things cover Earth. The biosphere is the part of Earth in which living things are found. So you got your definition of biosphere, guys, the part of Earth in which living things are found. It extends from about 10 kilometers above Earth's surface to about 10 kilometers below the surface of the ocean. So guys, remember science class, they always give it to you in kilometers because scientists share their research around the world and they have to be able to be using the same measurements so there's not a conversion problem like with inches in the American system. So your science book will always give it to you in the metric system. If you're doing the English, like 10 kilometers is about 6 miles. So I'm staying on Earth. About 6 miles up, guys, into my atmosphere, nothing can live. The air gets too thin, there's not enough oxygen, it's too cold, no life exists up there. Okay, same thing if I start to go 6 miles below the surface of the ocean. Okay, so start to go down 6, water can't penetrate to the bottom. The ocean isn't even 6 miles deep, guys, okay? So in some places it's close, but by the time you get to the bottom of the ocean and then start to go into the dirt, there's no oxygen for it, there's no anything there that can get it. Sunlight can't create photosynthesis, so nothing can live down there. So you got, when we think about this, if you remember in chapter 1, guys, where we talked about the Earth is like an apple, that little thin layer of red skin on the apple is your biosphere. Where things can live, very small. Although organisms may live in different parts of the biosphere, they all share Earth's resources such as water, air, and light. Number 1, that's number 3. Number 2, we already read it up here. Living things depend on and are connected, number 4, are connected to each other through the resources they share. So I'm connected because I need to compete for this water, air, and light. If something happens to one organism, other organisms can be affected too. Humans, including you, are part of the relationship formed between living things in the biosphere. Human actions can affect the biosphere. Human actions definitely affect the biosphere, guys. So we need to understand, I need to clear land to build a new subdivision. That's going to have an impact on the biosphere. That doesn't mean everything dies. It just means some things have to move. It might change the amount of water that's in the area depending on how it runs off the streets and things like that. We just need to understand that. Okay, the study of how living things interact with each other and their environment is called ecology. So I wrote down ecology, the study of how living things interact with each other and the environment that they live in. Where do we get it from? The word ecology comes from the Greek word ekos, meaning place where one lives, and the word ology, or what they use, logos, meaning the study of. So guys, you see ology at the end of a lot of words. Biology, the study of life, things like that. Okay, so an ecologist is a scientist, number 8, that studies the interaction of living things. So we want to know, how do the snake here get along in its desert condition? That's ecology. If I want to do that for a living, I'm an ecologist. Awesome. Moving on to the next page in your fantastic science book, cruising along looking for number 9 in your notes. How many people did you interact with today? The number might be down lower than normal because of COVID, but we still are going to realize we interact with people. Do you have a pet? What do you and your pet do together? When you think about it, getting through your day without interacting with other living things is difficult. And what about the non-living things around you? You breathe oxygen in and carbon dioxide out. You drink water, you're warmed by sunshine. You couldn't live without any of those things. Guys, I want to keep stressing, non-living is not dead. Dead was you were once alive. Non-living is you never had life. So oxygen, carbon dioxide, water, sunshine, those are the non-living things. We're going to talk about that a lot in this chapter. Just like you, all organisms that live together in an area interact with each other and their environment. An organism's environment is anything that can affect the organism. So we got our definition for number 9. An environment includes both living and non-living parts. Definition number 2 on that page. Number 11 in your notes, because this is non-living. Number 11, a population is a group of individuals that belong to the same species and they live in the same area. So guys, you and I hear the word population, I think, what's the population of my city? That is a group of humans living in the city of Milwaukee. I might say, what's the population of Wisconsin? That's still a group of humans living now in the state of Wisconsin. We can get the population of the United States, but it's all the same species. So population has to be the same species. All of the zebras in the picture are a population living together. Each kind of grass growing there is a population. But all the animals living there don't make up a population. That's because they are members of different species. So zebras are a population. The giraffes are a population. This whole picture is not a population, guys, because we have different animals living there. Each particular population lives in a certain area. For example, scientists may refer to a population living in a large area, such as the United States, or they may only be interested in a particular population living in a very small area, such as the population of the number of ticks on a dog. Something crazy to think about. Number 12 in your notes. Members within a population compete for resources in the environment. Each needs food, water, air, space, shelter, and other resources. If resources become limited, individuals can die, and the population will get smaller. So guys, the population is going to go up and down depending on the amount of resources, but what I need to understand is all zebras have the same needs. They eat the same type of food, they drink the same amount of water, they find shelter and live in the same places. As that becomes limited, zebras are got to compete for each other to get the food that is necessary for them to survive. Okay? So you got competition. Individual populations do not live alone. Several populations live together and interact in an environment. This is called a community. A community is a group of populations that interact with each other in a particular area. The elephants, zebras, and giraffes are all part of the same community. If your family has dogs and cats, several populations live in your house. You have humans, you have dogs, you have cats. Other populations live there too that we don't think about. There's bacteria, there's molds, there's fleas on your pets. Hopefully not, but maybe, who knows, right? Okay, so over here, guys, a community is a group of populations. So I'm going to take all the populations living in this area and we form a community. The community is populations of living things. Okay? Communities depend on non-living environment to meet many of their needs, like water, shelter, and minerals, to just name a few that we did. So that gives us the definition of an ecosystem. An ecosystem is a community of organisms living together along with the non-living parts of the environment. An ecosystem can be as small as the crack in a sidewalk or as large as a forest. Earth's biosphere is made up of many ecosystems. Every ecosystem interacts with other ecosystems. Study the picture below to see how individuals, populations, and communities make up this ecosystem. So I gave it to you in the review statement here, guys. I think about a zebra. Boom, one. That's an individual species. I take all the zebras together, okay, and you now have a population of zebras. You take all the populations of all the animals living together, and you have what we call the community. You add in the non-living things, the air, the dirt, and you have an ecosystem. So no individual to populations to communities to an ecosystem. Awesome. Have a great day.